Hello and welcome to Art to Heart podcast, where we are exploring the art of developing a growth oriented mindset and how it can transform your life. I'm your host, Rana, and in today's episode, we will be unlocking the secrets of learner mindset. Whether you're a lifelong learner or just starting to embrace the power of curiosity, this episode is for you. So, what exactly is a learner mindset? At its core, a learning mindset is all about approaching life with a sense of curiosity and openness. It is a belief that you can continually grow and improve no matter where you start. Unlike a fixed mindset which sees abilities as static and unchangeable, a learner mindset embraces growth, change, and the idea that learning is a lifelong journey. So let's begin with a little bit of science, okay? Research by psychologist Carol Dweck has shown that our beliefs about our abilities can significantly impact our success and well being. Those with a fixed mindset believe their talents are set in stone, while those with a learner mindset see their abilities as something that can be developed through effort and perseverance. So, how do we cultivate this learner mindset? First and foremost, it's about sparking curiosity, but how can you keep that curiosity burning bright? So, I'll be sharing few of the practical tips which we can implement as we go by. So here are the three practical tips. One, it is set learning goal. Second, ask open-ended question. Third, surround yourself with diverse perspective. So how are we going to set learning goal? It is very simple because we are going to focus solely on outcomes. Set goals that are about the learning process itself. For example, aim to learn a new skill or deepen your understanding of a topic. If you are talking about illustration, just make sure, like if you have certain objects to illustrate, for example, moon, just learn that step by step process and come up to a conclusion. Okay, I will learn it in a week. So that giving a learning goal, right? A perspective that I want to learn how to draw moon in next week. So, what will be an open ended question about? Challenge yourself with questions that don't have a simple answer, yes or no. This encourage deeper thinking and exploration. So, the third and final, it may be a little bit difficult with introvert people, but here it is. Surround yourself with diverse perspective. Engage with people who have different experience and viewpoints. This can open your mind to new ideas and way of thinking. This certainly implements to everything we do in our life. For example, we are graduate from certain degree, right? For example, in my scenario, it's costume design and fashion, but I never really pursue. Maybe in future one, I may be launching a t-shirt merch or some other illustration book or something over a period of time. But if I look back to my practical sense in my graduate era, I thought I want to become a fashion designer and that's it. But now I have learned over a period of time that that does not stop me from being a digital illustrator or content creator or a podcaster. It kind of jumble upon our creative zone and it gives a perspective of exploring our opportunities and learning day by day and just becoming best of ourselves rather than stopping ourselves saying, hey, you did fashion designing and there is no more other where you can dwell into. Now that I have given you three tips to be a learner mindset, let's just dwell a little more into the topic. We are going to talk about failure. Yes, it's failure. It's often seen as something to avoid, but in the world of learner mindset, it's crucial part of the process. Instead of viewing failure as a setback, try to see it as a valuable learning opportunity. When you make a mistake, analyze what went wrong and use that knowledge to improve. I remember while I was working in corporate, I came across my manager and I said, I am scared of failing whatever work you have done. And I remember one of the head of the department saying, if you don't fail, you are never going to learn. The last thing you could do is bring the entire website down and sending out a maintenance mail to the entire organization, which we can fix in next half an hour to 1 hour. But in that process, you will actually learn what happened in the back end and how you can fix it along. If you never make a mistake, you're never going to learn, which is much more important in life. So I think rather than looking failure as something saying, oh, I'm not good enough, you should actually see what you have learned through this and implement in future, which will eventually make you the best of the best. While I was in high school, I thought this is going to be the most toughest learning period of my life. And I thought once I get into college, it's going to be fun, fun, and fun. But in reality, being a part of fashion design department and being a student of design, you get no breaks because we have project after project, whether it may be illustration, whether it may be designing, whether it may be hosting some event, whether it may be a fashion show itself. And I felt school was much easier than college. Once we were at the end of the college era, I thought, okay, fine, I don't have to learn anymore. I have learned everything what I want to survive in this world. But in reality, I was just so wrong. The moment I stepped into the world of work, I was nowhere other than a dust. So the learning never ends. That's for my all younger audience who are in school, who are in college. Embrace yourself for the journey of a lifelong pursuit of learning, because learning is something which is extraordinary, which opens your mindset, which you have never ever dreamed of, but at the same time, it really, really happened to give you this complete satisfaction for what you have learned and nourish your soul with. So, maintaining a learner mindset isn't always easy. I do understand that because I have come across from high school to college to work to content creation, even to this day, I'm learning something new. I'm learning how to illustrate. I'm learning how to do better content. I'm learning how to communicate with you all in a better way. So, in that scenario, having a learner mindset isn't always easy. We all face challenges and obstacles. Common issues include fear of failure, self doubt, and the comfort of sticking to what we really know. To overcome this, try these strategies. This really helped me. Hope this will help you as well. Just have two strategies to share with. One is develop growth oriented self talk, and other is create a supportive learning environment. Both is so heavy. At the same time, implementing this make it much easier in your life. So what is going to be a develop growth oriented self talk is replacing negative thoughts with affirmation that reinforce your ability to grow. Instead of thinking I'm not good at this, try I'm learning and improving every day. I think the negative self talk not really stop us from doing the thing which we have to do, but rather it kind of erase us from the entire entity of just being ourselves. But it's actually very important to have a positive talk to yourself saying I'm learning and eventually I will overcome this and be good at whatever I'm doing. Whatever mistake you do, whatever step back you have, it's actually understand it as a part of process rather than sitting and feeling bad about it, why I was not able to accomplish, but rather look at those things which you have learned through the moment and implement in future or in the current scenario. The second strategy is create a supportive learning environment. Surround yourself with people who encourage your growth and provide constructive feedback. This is something very, very difficult for me to say about, because I think we belong to a third world country and we are still developing to actually. I am speaking in a voice of women and also I'm a woman. We do have a lot of setbacks, like why do you have to study? You have so much material to do. I do understand all this thing, but in today's scenario, I think having your voice, being able to learn, letting other voice aside and just focusing on your voice is something incredible you could do. I'm not saying just based on any gender, even men do face, even whatever. I think we do come across this scenario, why do you have to do this, why can't you do this, just stick to your job, don't do your business. All this thing do here in our daily life, but just focus yourself to give that time of learning in a day. You will eventually be successful. You don't have to prove to anyone to what you are going to be. You just have to prove to yourself that in depth is enough for you to be incredible. Share to actually share the real life scenario of how a learner mindset actually look like. We are going to talk about some inspiring human being who is Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, who joined Microsoft in 1992 for the relatively modest role, and eventually he kind of built himself a name. And one of the biggest or dynamic change happened in his life was to crown himself as CEO of Microsoft in 2014. So when he took over as CEO, Microsoft was facing intense competition and challenges. The company had a reputation for being rigid and struggling to adapt to new technologies and market dynamics. Nadella recognized that to turn Microsoft around, he needed to foster a culture of learning and adaptability through the organization. One of his major initiatives was to shift Microsoft culture from one of internal competition to one of collaboration and continuous learning. He famously emphasized the importance of a growth mindset, a concept that he was deeply familiar with from his own experience, and this was a significant departure from the previous competitive environment. So, under his leadership, Microsoft embraces several key changes. Few are encouraging learning and development, focusing on cloud computing and embracing feedback and adaptability. As I was looking through these key changes which happened, I happened to do myself a cloud computing, which is Azure, very basic certification of understanding what 101 of cloud overview and everything is. I, being a part of corporate environment, I kind of end up taking up certification, not one, but two from Microsoft. One is Azure, another is a Power Platform, and which is like low code, no code of developing an app. You don't need to know the coding or anything, but if you have a sense of what does your user are requiring from, and that kind of I learned during my tenure as a corporate employee. So learning was never an ending for me, neither it will be for any of us. But you just putting that away, saying, oh, I don't have time, or I'm busy with work, or I can't take off my weekend, that would definitely bring you to a point where you will feel after a few years like, wish I would have utilized those weekend into learning. I could have given myself more time than scrolling through. So this kind of little time, right? I do remember when I start scrolling, it's just like a mundane of not doing anything for next 45 minutes. Rather, I could have just listened to some interesting podcasts and implemented those in my life, or I could have just made another video for the upcoming days. I could do so much in those time. I'm not saying don't spend any time on interaction, on being socializing or anything, but put yourself as number one priority, and give yourself a to-do list where you write the number one thing to do in your daily life, saying like, I need to learn something. Like, even if it is very very small as learning A, write it down, saying today I'm going to learn A. I remember taking up Japanese class, and I do want to know hiragana and katakana, and I think by the time I come to the end of hiragana, I was so much confused. But I still have this thirst of learning it in my near future. But I do know how does the word looks like in Japanese, and I can still read, right, I and all this thing. And those are something I am still at shock, like I don't know any of those about Japanese, but once I start learning, I can actually read the word and I can actually understand what that word means. So even if it is as simple as learning A, make sure you learn it today, because there is no other day coming in for you, and there is no such thing as you're going to learn the next day, because if it's not to do today, then there is no tomorrow. So for me, it is you guys taking some valuable things through this podcast and implementing in your life, that is to encourage you to learn and develop and focus on what is right in your life, and to actually become the best version of yourself, rather than fussing about things which you have never really worked for. Once Nadella has implemented all this strategy in the organization, the results were remarkable. Microsoft's stock price and the market share increased significantly, and the company regained its position as a leader in the tech industry. Nadella's learner mindset not only transformed his own leadership style, but also revitalized Microsoft, making it more agile and forward thinking. I think one of the things to actually start adopting in your daily life is to have a learner mindset, which can actually lead you to significant personal and professional growth. And by embracing continuous learning, fostering a culture of collaboration, and adapting new challenges, like how he was able to drive a substantial change and success at Microsoft, you can also become successful in your life. So we will be closing off with few of the key takeaway from this entire podcast is to start implementing today. Okay, one of the thing is daily practices. Like I said, set aside time each day to engage in learning activities, whether it is reading, taking an online course, or simply reflecting on what you have learned. Believe me or not, I started learning UX design in December. I kind of wrap it up everything by March, and now I can actually design an entire app or website based on a simple idea or understanding user stories or understanding the empathy process and making sure what the user wants from an app or in a website. So once you start giving time yourself, just a half an hour a day, you can learn an entire new skill and you can actually become the best in that. And the second is you should actually start reading out book, or you can actually start listening to podcasts so that you are surrounded with the like mindset. You don't have to be in an environment just because like, okay, I'm going to be with the geek or studios. No, you can embrace yourself by having your own piece of time, by reading a book, by listening a podcast who encourages you every single day. Or you can actually start journaling, which is very good. Once you start journaling, you kind of have this clarity in your mindset, which you have in your heart is completely put it out, right? So you can actually implement these two strategies and you can find yourself in a much better position than where you were before. So, thank you so much for tuning in for today's episode, The Art of a Learner Mindset. Remember, adopting a learner mindset isn't about being perfect, it's about being open to growth and change. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to like, share, and also subscribe. And thank you for your wonderful comment, and also share it with your friend who might benefit from this shift in perspective. And thank you so much for my existing supporter and subscriber. It means a lot to me. I do read each one of your comments. Thank you for your support as always, and leave a comment of which topic should I need to talk in the next episode. I'll be happy to accomplish that as well. See you all in the next week. Till then, take care. Bye bye.